got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna talk fun, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop, E003.
Hey, this is Taylor with Believe in the Run.
And this is Reese with Believe in the Run.
And you are listening to The Drop, the Dirt Division segment. And I still can't believe that they're allowing us to do this, but hey, from our initial comments on our first episode that went out recently, the trail running world needs us, apparently. And so I'm just going to go with that and just paint a big S on my chest as if I'm Superman. And since it's only you and I talking here, we're just going to run with it.
Which, like, for me, I'm like, I don't even think like need versus want versus like we are serving it to you whether you want it or need it.
Yeah, this is like back to first grade social studies standards of defining needs and wants, but but we're just throwing all that out the window.
Yeah, we'll just lean in and you know, hope that we say something occasionally that makes sense or resonates with someone, but most of the time I'll probably just say something that later on, and this has happened, where I'm like, later on, I'm like, why would I say that? Like, it's just like, words
should have I said that?
Just
well,
shut
that's the
up.
thing. You know, online, do you need a filter? Right?
Yeah.
JK,
I mean,
JK.
I personally say, like, I just have an opinion about things, and I just don't care if someone disagrees. And like, I don't know,
Anybody
like,
else's opinion.
yeah, I'm just like here for it. Like, I'm just East Coast. I studied too much philosophy. I want to have a discussion. You know, I'm Sicilian.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you know, growing up Midwest, like, if something could go sideways, man, sweep that under the rug. And then
I feel like you and I are
going around all of these, which is not the way I am right now. I'd rather have a discussion too. But, you know, it's very much the culture of like,
yeah.
And so
you have much more tact, and I think like you have a softer approch, I would assume, to a discussion, whereas I think I have a harsher,
but
yes, I have a harsher of entry point into said discussion.
Maybe more forward.
Yes, more forward, assertive.
It's not always harsh, but you're straight to the point for sure.
Yes, I just, you know, let's cut the crap.
Well, and to be fair, like if you read like Robbie's and my emails, we both grew up rural, like, and I think that's part of it. And then you read Thomas's emails, like straight to the point. Here's the facts. This is what I mean. And Robbie and I are like, you know, build it up a little bit. Here's a suggestion or my question. See you later. Which it goes along with my personality too. I'm not just doing it for formality's sake, but it definitely, you can see culture coming through and how you were growing up, different areas.
I will say that I am, even though I'm like aggressive, assertive, I'm still a millennial. And I remember at work, like work, our CMO, she would always thumbs up things on Slack for me. And I finally had to like ask her, I'm like, are you being passive aggressive, or are you just like acknowledging that you saw it? Because I'm over here like panicking that you like hate me.
And you know me well enough by now that like I would be just oblivious to all that. And my wife told me that one time, and I'm like thumbs upping everybody because I'm fairly recent to this Apple world. I was Samsung before, and we all have, you know, all of my chats are now blue and green, and I get that now. But I was just thumbs upping everything that I saw because I'm also, you know this about me, not great at texting communication. So thumbs up is like, yeah, I hear you. I see that. And then here my wife tells me, you know, that is more associated with, you know, passive aggressiveness. And
Yeah.
that's not me really
No.
at all. And so I had to like be sure, like checking in with some of my like closer friends and family of like, just so you know that I'm not being passive aggressive, right?
I like
And
this.
so
We're taking a deep dive into our inner psyche and anxiety around communication.
welcome to the Trail Running Podcast.
Welcome, where we just talk about our anxiety.
Which you probably have a little more, and I'm again like I'm pretty
Oh, I'm
fly
like
by the seat of my
certifiably
pants
like
in a lot of
diagnosed.
ways. Yeah. Yeah, you come with on one of our Believe in the Run trips to anywhere,
Yeah.
and you have kind of opposite ends of the
Yeah.
spectrum for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm like an anxious traveler. I can't be late to the airport. I have to be on like early to everything. Everything needs a plan. I'm super type
Mhm.
A, which makes me great at some things like
Oh,
training,
totally.
quite
Yeah.
good,
You
but
get
in a
stuff
lot of
done.
scenarios, bad, very obnoxious. But I'm self-aware, which is like good and bad. Um, been doing enough
Do you think
therapy.
you're too self-aware?
Yeah, I would say painfully so.
Because I'm probably too self-unaware of like, here, I should probably check the camera to make sure I don't have crumbs on my face, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
Okay, enough about our psyche. Let's
but
talk running.
how
I
how
think that's
self-aware are you in your training lately this past week?
um,
Is it quite structured? Because you're leading up to JFK.
yeah,
You've had a big summer, and I
yep.
tend to just kind of roll off of it. Maybe that's one of the areas that I'm a lot more structured in life is training. Once I'm like into the weeks before, have it all laid out. But I'm also the type that I can do it all in my head, and so like
Mm,
I sent a text yesterday to a friend group and just thought about my own thinking. What would
okay.
that? What would the term be for that? Thinking about your own thinking.
I mean, were you like, was this like a pensive inter,
Yeah,
I
like
guess,
just how I think about things. Like
yeah,
basically, like for
philosophizing?
reviewing, for example, I
Yeah,
can think about it like on the run. Obviously, you're thinking about the details of the shoes and how it feels, fits, blah blah blah
yeah.
blah blah. But so I basically write the review out all in my head
Oh, yeah.
beforehand,
Agreed.
and I can just sit down and blah 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 blah. And then
Yeah,
thankfully we have Robbie as an editor, Orion, to really take my thought stream and have it make sense a little more.
yeah.
But that's like how I approach a lot of things. So I was just telling my friends, like, I'm like a cow. Like my mind is a cow. I'm a
You're
processor,
ruminating.
which is like, yeah, exactly. So I ruminate on things, and I just sit and think and process, which like if I don't respond to you for text, that's one of the reasons. Either that or I'm like I read it and then my mind is still constantly on something else, so I kind of forget that I read it
Yeah.
and just keep going. So like I can do that with training too for the most part. But are you like, here's my spreadsheet? I took
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. And that
So what's
is
this
like,
last week's spreadsheet look like for you?
it was like 80 something miles of running.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Mix
then
of trail and road?
yeah, mostly road, to be honest, which was really funny. So I went down to Boulder. I was meeting a friend for like tea, and so I had like a 20 something mile
Wow,
run
you
down there.
sound so proper.
Yeah, we're meeting for tea, the tea house. It is
Some
actually like that's
crumpets.
what I'm drinking is a loose leaf tea.
Oh,
I'm a
yes.
tea person, but so I'm in Boulder, and I don't
Wait,
normally.
wait, wait, wait. Do you have the little tag on it?
No, this is like my black tea. This one is a Dimbula.
Okay, a little
It's loose
disappointed, but
leaf. Yeah. In the morning, it's like very, it's all black tea, nothing in it.
yep.
Um, so in Boulder, and normally I just run on the trails if I'm down there, or I'm like meeting someone to go for a run. But I was like, well, I'm going to do this run, go to Scratch Labs Cafe afterwards because I'm going to be really hungry. Then I'll go and meet my friend. So I ended up doing, like,
Which,
I
hold
planned
on a
out.
second. Scratch Labs Cafe. I
Yeah.
use Scratch all the time, like the super high carb, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, that kind of stuff. And the gummies are great. So this is the
Yeah.
same.
They're
This
right
is the
here.
same company that makes those. Oh yeah, is that your breakfast? Black tea and energy
Oh,
chews.
hell no. That
No
was
wonder
like
why
left.
you're forward
Yeah, that was
aggressive
left
every day.
over from my intervals on Tuesday.
But this is the same company, and they have their own cafe. I know the road crew, the
Yep.
Baltimore crew, has talked about going to Scratch Labs Cafe. I personally haven't been. I've looked
Huh.
at the menu multiple times, like either walking by or just online, just to look at it, and it looks great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And like I am pretty tight with the Scratch crew. I was like eons ago. This is like 2014. I was one of their like first ultra athletes they
So a
brought on
decade
as
ago.
like
Oh wow.
an ambassador. So like Alan actually sold me his road bike. That's how I got into road biking. And so Alan and I became good friends. And then
You didn't
as
just
they
find each other on Craigslist
no,
and
as well
became
as
friends that
they
way.
evolved and like grew, they just moved to like a bigger space, and the Scratch like cafe, the Scratch table is now in like North Boulder ish, which was nice because I was running in North Boulder.
Hmm.
But
It's
it's a
really
cool.
in a nice spot of Boulder. Is it on Pearl Street?
It used to be. So the new one is in North Boulder, closer to like I don't know. No, it's just North Boulder.
Closer to trails,
Kind
maybe.
of, yeah. Like we ran, like when I helped Hillary Allen out with one of her camps, we all met at the Scratch Cafe and then ran to Sanitas from there. So it's
Yeah,
like a half mile from the Sanitas zone.
yeah. Which is like, where you're at in Foco
Yeah,
and Boulder. Like, I'm not a city person. I would consider those both cities. They're not just big
fascinating.
towns, as
Okay.
some people would say. They're small
Yeah,
cities. And I'm
yeah,
not a city person, but I do like that those cities like have such great trail access.
yeah,
Like, yeah, you run a half mile to a mile on pavement and hit the trails.
yeah,
Legit trails, good trails.
yeah. It's a good zone. But I just have
Oh
to
yeah,
like
tea with your friend at Scratch Lab.
well,
Sorry.
the remark of so I normally don't run on the roads in Boulder. I'll like ride my bike on gravel roads and whatever roads, but um I just parked at this trailhead and I was like, I'm gonna do a road run. I have like two sets of like 6 mile tempo-y things. Anyway, I'm running around Boulder Reservoir, and I have never in my life seen so many runners on dirt roads as in Boulder. It is like the Olympic Village
Oh
in
gosh, yeah.
Boulder, and it feels like everyone is kind of like checking you out, like, who are you? And I felt like I looked like a total Fred because, and like Fred is maybe like that's like the cycling version of like a newbie.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I've never
and
heard that
I
term.
looked like a total newbie because I'm running on the roads and I want to like wear some of the stuff I'm going to race in. And so I was in like my tantrums pack, but I put two full um, water bottles, like flasks. So I have like a ton of water on me. And I'm doing this road run. And I was like, oh my God, I look like so hyper prepared for this road run, which like
But you probably weren't
no
the
one
only one.
knew,
Let's
like,
be honest.
yeah, it was so funny. And it was so windy. It was like 40-mile-an-hour winds. I'm dying on these roads, but I just felt like I looked out of place amongst all these like Olympic adjacent road
Oh
runners,
yeah,
like me in this like weighted down vest.
which like that area too of like in a posh midday run. Yeah, it just there's such a saturation of high level athletes
Yeah,
around. It's really like the Front Range, but Boulder especially is especially saturated because yeah, you have like the top in the world athletes plus anybody who's interested, which anybody who's interested around here has access to so many great resources for running and endurance sports. Like there's just so many like surprise elites and all that kind of stuff too of
yeah,
like you never really know who you're going to bump into. So they
yeah.
were running around and like, oh, there's that Reese Rulin.
No,
Believe
no,
in
I
the
don't
run
think
dirt
a single
division.
person probably said that. They're probably like, "Why is this girl carrying like 20 or like 30 ounces of water on her road run?" I'm like, "Well, because it's a long time. It's
Yeah.
22 miles." Although I always forget how short like 22 miles takes on the road,
On
where I was like,
relaxed
I
terrain.
got
Yeah.
there so early. I was like, I got to start by like, I was meeting my friend at 1 p.m. and I was like, okay, I'm going to start at 8:30. This is going to be like a 4-hour run. And I'm like, what? I got done at like 11:15. I'm like, lunch can take forever, I guess. But yeah, the next
Yeah,
day
I
I think
mean,
I ran like 18 miles on the trail and it took like the same amount of
yeah.
time 22 miles took on the road.
So you're feeling pretty fit. If you're throwing up those numbers, are you feeling good? Like
I'm feeling good. Like
your ankle's
last
not
week,
obliterated currently?
no, no. Last week was 80 something miles. And it's hard because I never know if I should include, like, I ride horses 3 days a week. I went golfing.
I mean,
I
if there's a activity on your watch for it,
Yeah,
why
that's
wouldn't
true.
you, huh?
That's true. Um,
I say that and I never do like walks or hikes or anything like
no,
that.
I would
Only
unfollow
for review
someone
purposes.
on Strava if they Strava'd every single activity, and I've seen people
Mailbox
do this.
out,
Yeah,
mailbox back.
yeah, I've seen people, like, every activity they could
Unless
possibly.
it's grit. If it's grit and it's
Yeah.
like you're walking to the mailbox but you normally wouldn't, then do it. Which
But
winter grit is coming up here real soon.
what about if you're throwing up. Okay, yeah, I want your hot take. You're throwing
Yep.
up five different activities potentially a day. You're doing your walks, your run, your yoga sesh, your weight session. I'm like, that's
Mm.
too many things. I don't even want to be on Strava to begin with.
Well, who is this person? Why do you have
I
time
don't
for all
know, but
that?
I've seen these people and I'm
Okay.
always, I'm always like so amazed. I'm like,
I'm
I
like,
guess I
I'm have a
just do
hard time getting in a warm up before a 30-minute run these days. Of like,
warm-ups.
yeah, I'm broken and old right now.
Oh, yeah, I
Gotta,
guess
yeah.
I'm older than you. I'm
Uh,
turning 38 this
But
year.
once you're a dad too, like I get 5 years per kid, so I'm actually like 43 right now.
5 years. Where does that stat come from?
That's my own. It's kind of
Oh,
like I have my own metrics. Like
okay, it's like dog
I was
years.
gonna say that I've
Accurate.
never been pulled over in my life until this year. This past like year and a half has been wild of firsts. A lot of good firsts,
You've
but that was like my
changed.
only negative. But I got it off my plate, so I made it like how many years? 18 years of driving.
Yeah.
And never got pulled over.
Wow.
And I think the guy felt bad for pulling me over. It's not because I'm just like, I'm not a grandpa out there. It's I have a rule, the 7 to 12% rule.
Okay.
Yeah, so given a certain mile per hour range or wherever you're at, like
Yeah.
say 60 miles per hour, you can go between 7 and 12% over the speed limit and be fine. And
Interesting.
so the nuances there, you really got to get into the nuances.
I don't wanna do
Don't
that
push it in like
kind of
45 miles per hour
Yeah.
area because that's like a safe zone. 30 miles per hour, you can go a little more, but probably not 10. Well, yeah, you could probably go 12% over and that'd be fine. But there's like finicky ones, like 55 miles per hour, I feel like is a finicky one.
I just routinely go at least 5 over,
Yeah,
5 miles
but
an hour
if you're
over.
in a 25 mile per hour area, I mean,
I'm going 35.
you're going boost speed. Like, okay.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
but how
a
many
less
times have you been pulled over? That's the thing.
well, how many times have I gotten a ticket?
Is that the metric?
That's the metric. I'll get
Okay.
pulled over, but, like, it's not happening. My
But you
IQ
could
dropped.
probably pull some things that I can't.
Yeah.
And I just like when it happened, my daughter's like, "What's happening, Daddy?" I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh,
they
okay."
were in the car.
You know what it was? It wasn't even. I was going a little over, but between Ned, like the peak to peak highway,
Yeah,
curvy, not really any great passing zones. But there was this big Euro truck in front of me, like the cool excursion camper van type things,
yeah.
and I think they were from England, but they were pulling over for me because I was behind them. But I had my daughter who gets car sick, my wife, our whole family, my two daughters, my wife, and our dog who also gets car sick. And so I'm like slowly pulling out through this passing lane and I slowly pulled back in and I knew that it turned to a double, two lines, but you could still see for like probably a mile down the road. It's like there's an impending curve coming obviously. It's a mountain road. But then because I didn't get into the zone quick enough, pulled me over.
That's dumb.
So I'm not even faulting my 7 to 12% there.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. He didn't even give me a warning, actually, which was,
Amazing.
he just handed me his card. He's like, technically I'm supposed to. I think he felt bad with all the cute kids in the back and big fluffy dog.
I love that.
But running.
Yes. Running, not cops, not getting pulled over. Yeah, running is great. I'm at the point for me right now. I don't know how many weeks out, like 5, 4, something for
I think I
JFK.
saw a 5 on their Instagram.
Okay.
Something like that.
All I want to do is eat all
Have
of the
some fun.
time. So every Sunday George and I start becoming regulars at Five Guys burgers and fries. And like every Sunday we
Yes.
go. Oh my God. Like
So do you throw your peanuts on the floor there, or do you still feel
I don't
good
eat
with
the
your
peanuts.
personality type?
I'm like really focused on the fries and getting mayonnaise and ketchup to dunk my fries in.
Yep.
That to me is the best recovery food in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
so,
Their
so
fries are really the
that's
best.
where I'm at in my life. So this week, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like trying not to overtrain. I think like as I've gotten older, like volume is fine to do, but I think that, studies have been released that like zone 2 isn't that beneficial for women and doing high intensity stuff is, but like also as an endurance, like an ultra athlete, like you can't totally neglect like just
Totally.
volume
Yeah.
in general because I don't know, 50 mile I'm not going to do on sprints.
Yeah, there's no doubt that volume is one of the major ways to increase fitness.
Yeah. And so like I try to kind of balance out like intensity with volume and making sure I am doing the high end stuff just because like a female responds different to training than a man
Mm-hmm.
and on like a mitochondrial level. And so the zone 2 stuff might help just for the endurance aspect, but what's going to like get me fitter is high intensity stuff. And I love doing that. Like I love high
Mm-hmm.
intensity
Yeah.
work. But it's just been kind of
You
nice
mean
going
every
out.
uphill around here?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard doing like a recover. Like I was doing this 18-mile run on Sunday and it's just I was like, "Oh my god, I feel like I'm, like, walking everywhere." I'm not walking, I was, like, running, but I'm running
Mm-hmm.
as slowly as humanly possible to just keep it mellow, but my heart
Yeah.
rate was, like, 137. I was like, "Nice, doing
Nice. You're
great."
fit. You're fit. You're ready.
But
Well, and like, especially when you're mixing it in trails, like if you're primarily a trail runner, the metric of time
yeah,
is a much more controlled metric. And so like of that however many 80 miles of like, but your amount of time on feet
yeah,
is more than like even if you were going to push that 100 miles on the
yeah,
road. So like there's ways to balance out. Like you don't
yeah,
always, especially for trail running, if you're only doing mileage and pace, you need to relook at how you're training. Let's say
yeah,
that. But for someone like you who, especially in these final weeks, having a long run, I'm doing it for this amount of time is at intensity or this amount of miles, and that kind of stuff obviously is going to be very helpful.
yeah,
The flatter you are, the more you can depend on those metrics. But
yeah. It's interesting, like, I don't really know what my, like, goal time is, like, here's my little mug, from when I did it
JFK 50 miles.
in 2007, the day after my 20th birthday. But my time, so to give you an idea, so during Javelina, because I only did like the 100K of it, I looked back this week and I was like, how fast do I do 50 miles? Like, I have no idea. My 50-mile time within that was like 7:15. Um, and this was my first 50-mile ever, and it was 11 hours, 2 minutes, and 33 seconds. And I was like, oh, I think I'll be
I
a
think you
little
can
faster.
shoot for the moon for that one. Yeah.
than 20-year-old me.
Well, and
But
that's where. Well, and I know
sorry.
JFK has that long flat section. Basically, the last what 3/5 of the race is
Yeah, I mean, you have a marathon on
basically a marathon.
Canal, which is what I trained on in high school, and then
Yeah.
you finish on the road, I think, for like 8 miles, which will be cool because I
Mm-hmm.
get to go by all like my friend's house and like my cross country coach, his house, and like my friends still manage the aid station at the 42nd mile. So
The
it feels like
hometown
a
race.
hometown, like
Oh
coming,
yeah.
assuming I like make it off the AT and I don't
Is
like
everybody going to be calling you Teresa? Go Teresa,
probably they'll
or
probably
do
call me Teresa.
they don't know you as Reese?
No, I don't think like the Reese nickname stuck until like college outside of like my family always called
Hmm.
me Ree or Reese.
Yeah.
But
Did
yeah,
you ever
it's
get
really
Reese's?
uh
Or
my
do you say
sisters,
Reese's out east?
they say everyone just says Reese.
Yeah. Well,
But
not everyone, but
yeah, I guess not everyone, but I
it's
don't know.
Reese's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it'll be like a hometown situation.
Yeah. That's it's going to be now knowing I'm not going. I already have FOMO.
They're gonna
But I'm going
live
to be
stream.
updating my whole list of people to
They're
follow
live
and
streaming it,
yeah. Yeah,
which is like
finally. Step it
blowing
up.
my mind.
Which I do want to say while they're updating some aspects of their race, they need to update some others like policies. And I'm a little bitter on it, but that's a different story, probably for a
I wish
different
we could just
platform.
have headphones, honestly. I'm like the canal section is so monotonous that I'm like, please let me listen to Miley Cyrus.
Yeah,
Just come on.
party in the USA. It's perfect for on repeat.
Yeah.
Well,
But
but while you're like winding up for your, would you call this your big race of the year? Yeah, this
I
is the one you're most
guess
excited about.
I guess it's just like a nostalgic thing. Like we can
Yeah.
get into it some other time, but like yeah, I guess like I'm training the most. I'm actually training for this, whereas I would say every other race I have not
Yeah.
had like
You
a
were just
concerted
running,
effort. Yeah, I was
going
just like hanging
training
out,
through.
having a good time.
Yeah. And so where most of the world is actually like on the downswing of like
Yeah.
going into winter, not much trail running. I'm like counting my days. I've had enough snows to be worrying about when my last trail run's going to be, especially with my
Oh wow.
injury going on. But in the shade, the snow hasn't melted completely up here. But if you get sun, obviously it's melted. So there's still trails to be had, obviously. But most of us are limiting our days on the trails right now.
Yeah.
But it's like we were chatting before this. It's like it's basically already time to start signing up for all of these other races. It's
I'm
crazy.
it's so funny because my head can't wrap around that yet because I'm like kind of getting to the point where I'm ready to not be training and not think about it. I'm like, it would
Mm-hmm.
be great. Like I like it's just a lot of time. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm ready for not doing things. But I signed up for a race in February. But anyway, yes, the rest of the
I
world
say all
is
that, but
yeah, the rest of the world is like resting and getting
yeah.
ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh,
And
I'm jealous.
like I know this is when a lot of people are like, if you're a true runner, true trail runner, you may not
Oh,
say you need anything for Christmas and holidays and whatnot, but you're kind of thinking about like, how can I buy or set myself up for the next trail racing season? And for many people, there's a lot of intrigue with like the UTMB series, Golden
yeah.
Trail World Series, and a couple other series. But it's like kind of weird, and they're not always that helpful in terms of like, how do you get into those, or what's it going to cost?
I
It,
have
yeah,
zero awareness, knowledge, or like I know nothing about any of these things. Like I
yeah.
signed up for Black Canyon and people are like, "Oh, are you trying to
Oh,
get into Western states?" And I was like, "One, no, I'm not like that level. I'm like pretty good, I'm pretty fast, but I'm not like fast fast."
we'll see. We'll
And
see.
it's like people like know, and so I think I can you educate me on
Yeah.
what
We'll do a
is going
basic level of education
101.
for
Give me
this.
101.
But also before like we get into like those specific series, because those are like, the pinnacle of the sport, which is kind of weird that we kind of have like four
Yeah.
different series that each have their own
It's a lot.
championship. And it's a lot. And I feel like neither of those series is going to give up what they have. So I think, and yeah. And I talked to Taylor Stack this last week, and he's going to be attached to this episode. He's the guest on it.
Okay.
So he was one who wanted to do the World Championships. That was one of his goals for the year, and he wanted to make the Golden Trail World Series final. So those are short course races.
How
which is a
short?
growing segment in our sport. But to be able to do that, like you have to have all of your ducks in a row. You have to plan out which races you're doing when to get a certain amount of points and all that kind of stuff, or like to qualify for the World Series. But he kind of made a point of like, there's all these different championship races that it kind of waters down what is the World Championship races. And this year they had like the most saturated fields in all the races. Like most of the best were at World Championships for the first time ever this year. Not to say it wasn't competitive in the past, but like that's something to think about. But all of these other race series have these certain requirements to get to their championship series if you want to partake in it. And so, or if you're not at that level, it is like, I know your boy Scott Jurek throws out the pyramid scheme stuff about UTMB a lot, but it really, if we're honest, it really is pretty much a pyramid scheme. And you know who's driving their Pink Mary Kay Lexus because they're doing the pyramid scheme right and can. That's one of the things. And like Taylor Stack talks about, he's a Brooks athlete. But like before he was an athlete, having to jump through all these hoops, even financially, like to be on the start line at some of these races financially is massive without a sponsor. But if you want to be seen in this crazy world, like this is an elite level, obviously, like you got to be on those start lines. And so, but the thing is, those elites who are paying for that don't often get like, sometimes they get like a comp entry, which is helpful, can be like, hundreds of dollars. But everything else is the same with lodging and everything. And that's just something I bring up because all the race series we're going to talk about are like, they would be a pretty penny to be able to go. Like you want to plan your whole year, unless you're like very, very financially sound, but I would also like to think that other folks could access these somehow. So maybe this will be helpful information on how to like at least get into these races.
Yeah. I mean, even when I went to Javelina, I mean, I think entry fee, flying George down, paying someone to watch the dogs, driving down, all the hotels. I mean, I spent over $2,000, probably like closer to $3,000. And then for Black Canyon, I think I'll spend somewhere similar in the ballpark. And
that's not even to mention like all your nutrition, your gear, and
no one is paying for my entry into that or my hotel. And I'm like, this is an opportunity cost. I'm like, I'm doing this instead of whatever.
Well, and that's the thing. Like if you care about it, it can be worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like if that's where you choose to put your funds, like.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into it. Give me
let's get into it a little bit. But before that, even like we're just highlighting some of the pinnacle areas in our sport. I want to be clear with that. I also want to be clear with my personal favorites are actually like these little hometown races. I enjoy going to all these others, especially as like a fan of the sport and competition and whatnot. But I just like small town feel, aesthetic race courses, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to throw that out there. So like FKT
I think like
scene.
Yes. FKT scene, like big dentist convention kind of like races for me.
Yeah.
It's too much. Like, I don't want to be on a scene. I don't need to be drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, I want to show up.
We say that, but then like when you're at Western States or UTMB, we're like so inspired and want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like we've been there, and I think it would be worth it if you're able to, but you have to know how to be able to get there.
Yeah.
Like if you want to run Western States,
It's
like,
impossible.
yeah. And so just know you're never gonna. Just kidding.
Yeah, you're never gonna do it.
But it's part of the UTMB series, and because of that, like Westerns, a lot of, and this is where it also gets confusing. A lot of these races that are a part of these series are also their own entities. So like the UTMB series of races, each of these races have their own race director, they have their own registration, like all that kind of stuff. But because they are part of the UTMB system, if you want to qualify for, say, anything to do with Chamonix around August, so the UTMB Championship Series, you either have to qualify via your UTMB index, also still pay everything to go over there. So if your like elite score based on their scoring system and how you run in UTMB races specifically, that UTMB index, if you have over, it's like in the 700s. If you're over a certain number, you can qualify for a start line. So you get automatic registration, but still everything else is the same. And then so that's one way to get there. But if you're just a normal trail running folk of like, I wrote it down for this is just the UTMB series. And so to get into for the UTMB series, there are 11 in North America races. There are 5 in South America, 26 in Europe, which is like also showing how much bigger trail running is in Europe.
Yeah.
There's 2 in Africa, 14 throughout Asia, and 3 in Australia. And so there's places all around the globe. You can go pick a race pretty much everywhere. In the U.S., a lot of them happen to be West Coast, or there's 2 out in the East Coast. Yeah. So we need some Midwest representation, obviously, when hearing those numbers.
I'm telling you, once the gravel, like, and that's like a whole nother topic, but once gravel trail running comes to be a thing, Midwest is going to be popping off.
Iowa's going to be hot on the map.
Yeah. It's going to do the same thing that Lifetime does to like the Midwest. Yeah. Like I was writing a review of the Craft Nordlight Ultra Pro, and I was like, Lifetime will descend on small towns in America in the Midwest and completely take over all the farm roads.
Wearing neon. Yeah.
So that it's going to be a thing.
Tractor crossing sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like for these UTMB races, you can go to any of these and you have to collect stones is what they're calling them. And so you have to collect a certain amount, like a finish. You can collect your stones through finishes.
Okay.
It can be helpful if you're finishing in, a top certain segment for your UTMB index. But basically, you have to have enough finishes and spend enough money to be able to qualify for the lottery into any of these UTMB races. And so, like, that's how you get to UTMB. And like we said, like, it feels like a championship sport when you're there. It really is the pinnacle of our sport. And not to get down on like the Golden Trail World Series that we'll talk about, the Sky Racing World Series and the World Trail Majors, which, it just all feels like a lot because they all have their own championships. But UTMB is that one that's really most sought after. And so really you have to be able to put in the time and money and then hope you get lucky at the end, basically.
Yeah.
And so that's just something good to know when you're planning out your year or like the next few years of like, if I want to make it to Chamonix at some point for any of these races, I need to start planning out and doing a race or a couple races a year if you want to get there sooner than later. But I mean, there's a lot of good races in North America. If we're looking at that here, I'm gonna bring up this list, and it's growing too. If you go to one of these UTMB races, they have it. It's just a really well put on event, and that's partly why they choose the events to be a part of. So a lot of these were just pre-existing races.
Yeah, one of them won the year before UTMB bought it. It's the one, the Desert Rats. They had like a marathon, but they have like a bunch of longer distances. But my friends direct that, and I help out with some of their other races,
Yeah.
Gemini events. And that was hands down like I run there and I run that course every time I'm out in Grand Junction. It's incredible. It's
And
probably one of my
for
favorites.
us, like in the Mountain West, that's becoming a super popular race to be a part of because it is like mellower. It's going to be faster. But the barrier to entry, and the nice thing about a lot of these races is that they have multiple tiers. So like for the UTMB race series, they have like the 10K tier, they have the 25K tier, jumping up to 50K tier, 100K, and 100 mile. And so like you can kind of pick which one you want to focus on and get points for those distances. And so really we're talking about this as like kind of the pinnacle of our sport in terms of models and races and resources. But really anybody can join. And I like that about that. Which one were you just saying again? Desert Rats.
Desert Rats.
Yeah.
If it's still
So
called
like
that.
it's still called that. So that's a great one. Other ones in the US, which is really a variety of different terrain. You have Grindstone out east, which those Grindstone fans they will tell you that it's like one of the best races out there. You have Desert Rats out here, Speed Goats near Salt Lake, Kodiak, which just happened not too long ago, Hoka Pacific Trails, California, which I believe this is one of UTMB's first. Like they own this race. They're not just the presenting sponsor. They're the ones who started this particular race.
Okay.
So, and that's a new one for this year. And that looks awesome near Santa Barbara.
Oh, cool.
And then you have the Canyons Endurance Run, which is on a lot of the same trails or in a similar area as Western States. And then you have Western States, of course. So a lot of UTMB races to be a part of, but again, sorry, Midwest, you're going to have to travel, but maybe that's a good thing. Like I love going to different races in part because of the traveling you get to do.
Yeah.
But that's the basics for UTMB. And if you're going to UTMB, you're likely thinking ultras because at the championship series, they do have shorter races that you could probably, so like Thomas and Carl ran, which was like a 15K.
I don't
remember the distance of the race.
Ran is a little strong term.
Yeah.
That was a hiking.
I mean, you are in the Alps, after all. But those races they don't often completely fill up. And so, well, I shouldn't say that. I think they filled up this year. But those are ones that you can just register for without an index, without stones or anything like that. But then any of them that are 50K and above, so OCC, CCC, UTMB, TDS, what other acronyms are there? And so like those ones, you have to have a certain amount of basically qualifying points to do that. So then Golden Trail World Series is a little bit different. And so Golden Trail World Series was really developed with like elite level athletes in mind, but how they do it is they chose what they thought were some of the most iconic races around the globe. And so they have a much smaller series. Like, let's see, they have 5 in Europe, 2 in North America, 2 in Asia. So 9 different races. And that was just this past year. But they're going to places like the Mont Blanc Marathon has historically been one of their stops. Sierra Zinal, Zagama, some of the like biggest races in the world, and they all are sub ultra. They're all sub ultra. And so they're focusing on the shorter aspects of trail running. Shorter meaning like some of them also go up to like almost a marathon distance. And so that's where we're at these days.
Do any of these races overlap with UTMB, or can that not happen?
So that's part. I think they purposefully did not. There's not really much else going on around the world when UTMB happens. And so I would guess that they purposefully didn't, because that is like, that's one thing Golden Trail.
The Golden Trail, the races they chose are separate entirely. There are no overlaps.
Separate entirely. Yep.
Any UTMB owned races. Okay.
And so it's kind of like UTMB in the sense of like UTMB as an organization is now the presenting sponsor of this race that was existing.
Okay.
And so the same it goes for Golden Trail World Series, where they now are supporting these existing races.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to be like, I'm going for a Golden Trail World Series race to sign up for some of these races.
Okay.
And so, but the benefit is, especially if you're an elite athlete, because this series was developed for elite short course athletes, the benefit is if you have to have a certain amount of finishes at a Golden Trail World Series race to be able to, you have to have a certain amount of finishes and a certain amount of points to be in the top 30 elite athletes to be able to go to the Golden Trail World Series Championship.
Got it. Okay.
And so, again, these are super high level races on all aspects, not just from competition, but they're amazing. And in North America, this past year they had, let's see, well, in the past they've had Pikes Peak as one of them.
Oh, interesting.
The Ascent.
Yeah.
Specifically, and then multiple times Broken Arrow has been part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Mammoth Trail Fest was a World Series stop at one point, and there's also Flagstaff Sky Peaks, I think, is a race. So in the past, those have been 4 that have been part of the Golden Trail World Series. So they're more Mountain West style races because of the elevation gain. Again, this all was like started, and obviously a focal point is in Europe.
Yeah.
Europe and Asia, I should say, because multiple times they've been in Asia for even the championships. And so this is like short course stuff. So for those athletes who they do happen to be elite, you don't have to do these races. Again, they're iconic races on their own, but to be able to make it to the World Series final, you have to have a certain amount of finishes, a certain amount of points to be in the top 30, and then you can go there. The one cool thing, and I don't know this with UTMB, so I'm not going to comment on it, but the one thing that Golden Trail World Series does is that if you're going to be committed to their series as an elite athlete, they do really well at like finding lodging, travel, all that kind of stuff. So
That's
like
awesome.
for many of those top level athletes that are coming from other countries, like their first trip to the US ever in their life is because of Golden Trail World Series, or the other way around of like some athletes first time ever competing abroad, like Taylor Stacker, our guest this week, was because of Golden Trail World Series and the help they can provide just because of themselves as an organization committed to that from the beginning. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. Any questions? Golden Trail World Series.
Feeling good on that.
Okay. So now this is where it kind of gets a little murky. There's other series out there that aren't as popular, but they also do the same thing. They are the sponsor or helpful partner in these already existing races. Like the Skyrunning World Series, if you're really keen on skyrunning, is exactly as it sounds. It's steep, it's technical. A lot of times it's not a certain distance, it's an aesthetic route. And so, like, I think Cirque Series is kind of a mini version of that. Like, you're going up to the peak and you're coming down. But even more so, like, Cirque Series is still accessible in terms of the terrain you're going on. Can still be quite technical at times. But the Sky Running World Series is very technical, and it's going to be meant for racers who have experience in the mountains.
Yeah, it's like class 5 easy occasionally. There's like scrambly sections. I do know that. Yeah, like you got to be comfortable with exposure, I guess.
Exposure, a lot of times there's like pretty bad conditions once you're up high, and
I have no
be good with
interest.
exposure. Be good on your feet without wrecking your ankles.
Yeah, I'm like, immediately no. I would die at this point in my life.
Be okay to grab a chain on a descent or something like that, because it's that kind of terrain. Something you probably should wear a helmet for, but you don't because you're running.
Yeah. I don't want to bring a
types
helmet to run.
Yeah. That being said, and then
we transitioned out of running.
Back to cycling.
Yes.
But did you see just this past week, Remy Bonnet. He's a Swiss. He's known for being the best climber in the world, like even above Killian, because he just broke Killian's world record on the VK.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
I
a
don't
true
know any of
VK. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he wore a helmet. He's also a Red Bull athlete.
Oh, okay. Well, Red Bull requires you to wear at least some kind of piece on your head, some kind of hat, some kind
And
of
what
something.
else would you? Yeah,
Yeah.
not a hat. Let's throw a helmet on this guy.
Let's throw a helmet.
Yeah, which it's kind of like, so the course he went on is basically what a Skyrunning World Series would be, but it's in the format of like the incline down in Colorado Springs. It's
Okay.
just these railroad ties. And so
Got it.
it's basically the incline, but steeper,
A butt burner.
which, yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
But then to not make more confusion, there's also the World Trail Majors,
Jeez. Okay. Hit me.
which also has short course races, also has long distance races. They actually go to 12 events, but they have 24 different races.
Okay.
And so, like, this is where I think we're having some growing pains as an industry. And, like, where do you invest? Because, like, if you want to, do UTMB and eventually make it to Chamonix for one of those races, you have to really commit. Like, this could be years of your trail running. Or if you want to go to multiple different sky races and be part of that series, like you really have to commit. And same with the World Trail Majors is the one that you don't have to commit as much to. They're really just highlighting, just great races around the world. So this is like another pool of
I guess
great races.
asterisks. Great trail races that aren't a part of another series.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so that's where it's like getting.
Yeah, every race series is highlighting the best race in the world as it pertains to their series. That
Exactly.
isn't taken by another series. Okay, got it. Got it.
So here's where it gets really weird, though. At like Black Canyon, you could get your golden ticket for a UTMB series race there, but it's also part of the World Trail Majors.
Oh.
So there's a few
Did not know that.
crossovers. Yeah. And so then there's also like Trans Gran Canaria, Madeira Island, Mount Fuji. And so like these huge races, Grand Raid, all of these like very prominent trail races. Like who knew there was this many prominent trail races out there for one?
Did not
Like,
know.
extremely high level. So really like we had this whole thing so I could educate you, but isn't it feel like there's actually more questions after going through all this?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, and like this is my personal philosophy, which like take it with a grain of salt. But I think I get really excited about a route or a particular thing. And so with ultras, especially like 50 or more or 100, like I'm not a 100-mile person, but like you have to invest so much time into it, and you can only do them so many times a year and like remain healthy. And so it's like this, the fear of missing out is real for people, I think. And so I think for me, I'm really about like less doing, more meaning. So like what route, what race, what thing is going to give me the most satisfaction, the most joy, the most whatever. And so I think I struggle with a lot of these races because I'm like, I'm not good at jumping through hoops to get to something, which is maybe bad. Maybe that's like a personality flaw, but I really enjoy just like I'm okay with being like, this thing means a lot to me, and that means I'm saying no to thousands of other possibilities.
Yep.
But planning my whole year around gathering up points like a little squirrel, like to me, that doesn't
That's
feel
really what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. And then especially with, right, like I'm turning 38, like there's only so many more years of
Past years.
competitiveness left. So I have to be very deliberate into like, how am I spending like my PTO, my free time, all of my money. Like,
Yeah.
and so I think it really, it, it forces people to be very deliberate, I guess. And so for
Hmm.
me, I'm like, I don't know if I'm someone who wants to play these games.
Yeah.
Like I would rather just like be like, this is a cool route. And so I know something like Western States, right? Like one, it's 100 miles, very unlikely I'll ever run that. But on top of that, I'm not willing to really put in the work to like
Hmm.
gather up Western State qualifier points.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And I know like we have a lot of ultra running friends in this area,
yeah,
and they put a lot of time and effort just for like the little bit of hope that they'd get
yeah,
pulled in the lottery. And most of those people are okay with doing that because it's already
yeah,
the type of trail running they're wanting to do. They're
exactly.
probably going to be doing races, but also pigeonholed you to a certain
Yeah,
rate, few races to do that. And so I
yeah,
guess like maybe the bigger purpose of this is like one, give a little bit of a you know, major trail races 101, but also
yeah,
like maybe it helps people as they're planning at this next year, like getting into those thoughts
yeah,
of like, if this is really important to me, and we're using UTMB because it's the most glaring example, but if doing, CCC, that 100K at UTMB is really important to me, I can now have like my mind wrapped around what I might need to do to get
right.
there. And
Yeah,
so, and if that's a commitment you want to do, like go for it. No shade on anybody. But
yeah,
also I'm like you in the fact of like there are so many places, like it's hard for me to get out of my own county because there's so many places I want
yeah,
to explore and do
agreed.
and all that kind of stuff, let alone races and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But if I do want to someday do UTMB, here's what I need to be able to do.
exactly. Yeah, like I get so hyped on just like a route or an area. And I just know that I'm like, I have an infinite or a very finite number of days and number of big runs I can do without like totally destroying myself. That I'm like, oh, if I want to go do some 40-mile route, that's not a race, but I just like am very keen on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be really fun and give me a lot of meaning. It's like, well, I can do that, but that means I probably can't do something else
Yeah.
within that time frame.
But
Um,
yeah, and we've centered so much of this around races, and I've
yeah,
been, the older I get, my kids are getting older, our family opportunities to do some of this stuff,
yeah,
um, it like the window is getting a little bit smaller, and so like, what do I want to invest in? And sometimes I'm
yeah,
like, well, actually, I'd rather just go somewhere and experience something and know, like, just here's the money and let's go, right?
yeah,
And so like there's no jumping through all those hoops. And one of the options that I've actually considered and like really think could be a great option for many runners, they actually want to experience the place, not necessarily all the people, not necessarily a race
yeah,
finish line, but like if you want to create a vacation out of it,
yeah.
like there's opportunities out there, like Trail Run Adventures. Have you heard of
What's
them?
that?
Yeah.
No.
So Trail Run Adventures, Anna Frost. You've heard of Anna Frost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
As in
back
we
as you
talked
know,
about her last
my
week.
my limit of trail running knowledge ends in 2014, and that's when we did the Buffalo Stampede in Australia.
Which,
And
I mean, is there many other athletes that you need to know other than Anna Frost?
no, zero.
Yeah. And so her and her husband, Braz,
I know him.
so they split. You know Braz. Okay, so
Yeah,
it's their
I live
company.
in Durango for a bit.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they split time between Silverton, which is down there, and New
Mhm.
Zealand. They can be full-time runners basically just
Yes.
because. But so they're people who have experienced all of these different races and all of these different places, and they've now built a company around providing basically like hut to hut trips or trail running experiences that you
Okay.
can like an all inclusive trail running experience and all around the world. So they've done it in a lot of these places that host races like Madeira, like
Oh, cool.
Chamonix, and just like they have so many great trips. And so like that's an option I've considered a lot lately of like
Yeah.
sometimes I do really like to compete, but I also, the main reason I compete is to experience these new places, which is why I almost never do a race twice.
Yeah. Oh my
Uh,
God. Never do a race twice. Like, I'm
yeah,
shocked I'm doing
I say
JFK.
that, but then I want to do like all these hometown races multiple
Yeah.
times
I
just
guess there's
because
like some, but like I wouldn't do almost every single race I've ever done. Doing it again is just like not.
there's so
Unless
many
I feel
great
like I have
options.
unfinished business with it. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. I've seen it. I've seen it.
S- Yeah. And so like I guess my point is like there's companies like that that
Yeah.
can take you to all these places, give you the inside scoop and experiences that you might be seeking, like especially if you
Yeah.
don't necessarily need that race atmosphere, but it's all planned out for you. And we're actually partnering with them. And so
Oh,
I would bring this up anyways, but it's great that
okay.
we're partnering with them because they're just a great example. Like there's
I
multiple
mean,
companies you
send
can do
me.
this
I'll
with.
be there. Like,
I
like,
exactly.
will they send one of us?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's potential there.
Oh my God, sign me
But
up.
I mean, these things also cost a good amount. So they're going to cost about the same amount as you're doing at the race, but it's like
Okay.
an all-inclusive type thing. So
Okay.
if people are interested in that avenue, we'll have a code in the show notes that you can
No.
get a pretty significant chunk and change off of that. But also the hardest part for me, if I was going to go that route, is like choosing. Like, do I want to go to Patagonia? Do I want to
Yeah.
go to somewhere like Madeira Island,
Yes.
which is so unique? Or do I want to go back to Sham and just run some of these great routes hut to hut in a
Yeah.
very low key but phenomenal experience? And so
Love that.
we do all this race talk and then kind of end with that. But I think that's another option to like look into as people are
Yeah.
planning out their next year or years, depending on what you're going after. And yeah,
I
so
mean,
many options.
I think, you know, I feel, I know that I've like gone through different eras of competitiveness where when I was younger, definitely like in my 20s, it was all focused on more, it was the race and the race itself and being competitive was fun. And now it's much more about like, I only want to do something if it's going to be, if it's not like just purely selfish. Like, obviously, there's some aspect of it. And I don't think running is selfish in general, but I think if I can include George or some of my friends, or if we can make a trip out of this and it can be like a bigger thing and not just I'm going because I need to race this thing and that's where the athletes that I need to race are, like this is the field I need to race with, but more, is this going to be like a really cool like core memory that I'll be able to look back on and be super excited because like I'm not going to remember times. Like
Yeah.
I throw out every single
Unless it's painted
medal.
on your mug.
Yes, yeah, unless it's this. And I've had it for 18 years. But like for the most part, I throw out every finisher, everything. Like I don't, that's so meaningless to me. And so it's just like, but I'll remember like core, I don't know, just like fun things I've done with people. And so something like Anna's thing, like that sounds fun because you could make it more about the experience and like races can be about that too.
Drink
But
wine, eat good food, and trail
yeah,
run.
like give me that.
What?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
It's an option for sure. Maybe we just I think Anna would be actually a great one, not just to promote her own company that they have, but also
Yeah.
like just talk about some of the logistics of what would go on with that. And like she's also one who's experienced most of these races.
Yeah.
And so maybe we get her on here
Yeah.
pretty soon and we can all chat
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Maybe yeah. We'll work on that and we'll get back
Okay.
to the audience about that.
Love it.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think my time has come to also use the bathroom. So I think this is
This is it. This is, we're done here. We're done for
we're
the day. We've both drank too much tea and coffee. It's
yep.
time. I need a snack. It's,
Dude, and I need to move. I found myself when I work at home,
yeah.
as I've been doing for the last however long, of like
I've been doing it for like
my
ever.
ADHD tendencies come
Mm,
out really strong. Like, okay, now I
interesting.
need to move. I actually need to do that like 20-minute screen time thing. So maybe I go take some pictures. Maybe I go, move around, do something like that. But I think, yeah, That's my body telling me right now. We hit my hour limit.
Okay.
And now it's time to go.
We're good.
See you next week, Reese.
Bye, Taylor.
Hey, this is Taylor with Believe in the Run, and today I'm joined by Taylor Stack, who is a Brooks athlete, and he's in his first year in a professional contract with Brooks. And for a lot of rookies out there, let him be an example for you, because he is competing on a global stage. If you follow trail running, maybe it's not so much of a surprise with some of these results over the year. Or he could be a brand new name for you. At any rate, Taylor, welcome to the drop.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so I kind of want to get into it right away. I often do a little bit of research on the back end. Many of the athletes I already know, maybe have many years of results and stories that go along with your career, but you are a rookie in the sense of, like, this is your first year as a professional athlete. But I know from experience as well, you don't just step into the scene in your first year as a professional athlete and crush as you have this year. If there's a Rookie of the Year on anybody's year-end awards, like, you're going to be in the running for it for sure. But how did you get here? What's your background in running? And yeah, who is Taylor Stack?
Yeah, so I'm from Colorado originally. I grew up in Salida, Colorado, small town in the mountains, and kind of, I started running when I was a little kid. Like, my mom and parents were super into doing kind of local trail races and stuff like that. So trail running was kind of my first introduction into running.
Well, and you guys have sorry to cut you off. You guys have some great little series down there in Salida. Like, one of my favorite to do, try to get to every year is the Run Through Time. Like, that's a great kickoff, and not only attracts a lot of surrounding local talent, but elite talent, like Hard Rock winners, Western States top 10 guys, like, for such a small town to attract that. So, like, these are the people that you were lining up next to kind of as a kid. That's so cool. Sorry, keep on going.
No, yeah, Run Through Time is such a fun event. And, like, I've been doing the half marathon since I was, like, I think I did it the first time when I was, like, 12. So I've been doing that race for years. And then I have done the marathon a few times in recent years. But, yeah, it's kind of, for little old Salida, that race attracts some legit talent. Like, Courtney Dauwalter is doing it this past year.
Yeah.
You've got guys like Jesherin Small, who's done it every year, and he's a beast. Morgan Elliott.
Drew Holman, Morgan Elliott, local crusher there.
For sure.
Claire Gallagher, like, when in her heyday, was out there too. Like, so many amazing. It's so cool. It's one of those few early races that you can actually do at high altitude. I've also done it where there was, like, 6 inches of snow fell in the first, half marathon going up. And
Totally.
Yeah.
That's life in the mountains. But yeah, there's usually some snow on the course, but it's funny because I did it 2 years ago and we had beautiful weather, like, good conditions. And then, like, 3 days after the race, it snowed 10 inches in town. So it's like,
exactly.
You never really know what you're going to get, but it's a fun way to kind of kick off the year and, like, see how the winter training, see where your fitness is at and whatnot. But yeah, so that's kind of, like, early on, that was, like, me getting into running. And then in high school, I really got into track and cross country. And so that's kind of, my focus shifted kind of towards that, and got really, obsessed with trying to chase PRs on the track and stuff like that. And so, had a pretty good amount of success in Salida there, in high school. And, like, we have a really fun cross country program. Coach Kenny Wilcox is so awesome. And, like, he really kind of, fostered a love with running for me kind of early on. And then, so after high school, I went on to run track and cross country in college at Western Colorado University in Gunnison. So that was D2 level. And
which is is it the highest college campus in the country?
I believe so. I think it's the highest track in facility.
For sure. Yeah.
I think I can't. Well, I guess, like, Colorado Mountain College might have some higher campuses technically, but I think it's like definitely like one of the highest 4-year universities.
Yeah, and they're one of the few universities in the country that also has a trail running program, and you didn't do that with Josh Eberly, Adidas Terex athlete. He's also the coach there. But so you didn't partake in that. You were there for track and cross country.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because the trail team, the trail program over there is like, they produced so many studs over the years, and Eberly himself is a legend and everything. But yeah, when I was there, I was like, didn't even really train with those guys much because it was so focused on track and cross country, which is just kind of a different focus. But it's funny because it's kind of come full circle now. Like I'm going to all the same trail races as the mountain sports people from Western and kind of getting to know them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Gunnison, it's a historic NCAA cross country and track program. And then we also have that mountain sports presence. And so a lot of beast athletes come out of the Gunnison Valley.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is another, I feel like Salida this way too, a little bit of like I'm from Estes Park, and it's a true mountain town, just like Salida and Gunnison are. But what's different is that Estes Park is just hilly everywhere. In Gunnison and Salida, there's actually some pretty nice, really moderate, even flat miles to be had there. So I feel like you can get into some intensity and turnover and speed that you wouldn't be able to everywhere in every single mountain town. So it makes sense that there's so many great athletes like you coming out of Gunnison.
For sure. Yeah, it's a great place for training, high elevation. There's good flat running, good road running, track facilities for those types of workouts and stuff. But then there's huge mountains if you drive.
Yeah, exactly.
In any direction. So yeah, and good skiing, good Nordic skiing as cross training. It's kind of just has pretty much everything in terms of being a mountain kind of athlete and a fast track runner too.
Yeah.
Western has produced a lot of really good track and cross country athletes over the years as well. So, but yeah, I had a great time.
Is that part of your? Yeah, I was gonna say, is that part of? I know you lived in the Front Range for a time, and is that kind of accessibility to training and still have a small town feel? Is that why you decided to go back to Salida, because that's where you're at now?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely more of a small town kind of guy. That's
Agreed.
More my speed. And I lived in Fort Collins for a couple of years, so I liked it there, and I made a lot of good friends and everything. But I'm not big on traffic and the whole rigmarole.
Yeah, because I mean, people talk about Fort Collins as being a town still, but it's really a small city. Let's be honest here.
Yeah,
a congested small city. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from real small town, so it's funny when I was in Fort Collins, people would refer to it as a small town. I'm like, what? We have a Home Depot here. This isn't a small.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't call that a small town. If you have one grocery store, that's a small town.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so
then, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I lived in Fort Collins, so I graduated from Gunnison. And then took a little bit of time off of serious training after that. So I do conservation biology work. So I took some time to kind of work seasonal jobs and travel around a little bit. And I was just running for fun. But I think after, the college career, 5 years of serious track training, I was ready for a little break from it. But then, yeah, kind of just my interest in running and competing reignited with trails. And I think it's just I am loving it. I just, trail running as an activity beyond just a training standpoint has been really fun for me. And then, had some success in races, and then it snowballed into this thing now where, it's able to sign a professional contract with it and travel the world. So it's been pretty awesome. But yeah, so Fort Collins is kind of where I started really training again, and there's good trails there, and it was fun.
Yeah, great access.
For sure, yeah.
And a really nice community for trail running. There's multiple large groups of people that really build a nice network for any type of runner down there, but especially trail running. It's one of those, like even more so than Boulder, perhaps. Like there's a better trail running community. I know that's going to be a controversial statement for some people, but it's a cool place. I would imagine it's a cool place to live and kind of find your love for training again, especially for the trails.
Definitely. Yeah, and it was great. You know, I have some good friends there that I would train with, and guys like Adrian McDonald, Tyler McCandless. So like there are some crushers out there.
Name dropping, yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's a great community for sure. And I was kind of sad to leave, but I do like being back in like the proper mountains and kind of back in the small town. So yeah, and then
here you are, yeah. So then in those years, like what are some races that you like? In our area, we have just Colorado in general. Like you growing up here, you're obviously used to this level of competition, but it's a very saturated area on all levels, whether you're running youth or professionally. There's so many, the depth of competition is so deep. So really any like trail race, however small or however big you go with it in Colorado, like there's a lot of competition there. So like what kind of races were you going to that made you feel like, oh, I want to keep doing this, or like built your confidence to step into a professional career with it?
For sure. Yeah. So when I started training seriously to try and run the Run Through Time marathon, like what was that? Would that be, I guess 3 years ago was the first time I did it. And so
I broke my foot during that race.
Oh yeah, that was
that the year that it snowed like right as we started going up?
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, it put down 5 inches during the race. It was so wild. But yeah, so that was kind of my first like real trail race after college, and kind of motivated me to train.
Yeah, and what kind of time? Because I mean, a lot of people will be familiar with marathon times, and it's right at a marathon. Like I've done it and clocked in at 26.9, 27.1. A few different. So it's true marathon, but you're also doing like about between 4 and 5K a vert. Is that am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I think it's like right around 4 on that version of the course. The course has changed slightly, so I think. The most recent version, they took out like one of the last super steep climbs, so it might be a little bit less vertical.
Oh yeah, that little sucker, that one's a killer. I remember that one.
At that point in the race, too, you get the steepest, most technical climb at like mile 23.
Yeah, that was a killer. But so like, what was your time then, or what's your fastest time on that course?
So that year, I think I ran like 3:07, which was pretty solid. I was happy with it, but. My training was definitely not like where, that was not my performance ceiling. That was just like trying to,
of course,
get back into it. And then the following
but even so, like some other athletes, a 3:07 on that course is pretty amazing. Like I think I took like 4th place one year in a 3:21, and there was, I think Morgan probably was up there, and Drew Holman was up there too during that year. And so like, but if you're running that at altitude with this type of elevation, it's not a technical course really at all. But still being able to run those kind of numbers close to a 3-hour mark on a true marathon distance with all those measures, like that's really got to give you confidence. And I know a lot of athletes will choose that race for like an early season fitness test for their professional big races, races coming up. So even when you weren't thinking maybe a professional career, like I just want to set the stage there. Like that's super talented. Like, did you feel that when you ran that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that performance like got me even more motivated to keep it rolling. Cause I think that year it was Morgan Elliott and Jesherin Small I was duking it out with, and Morgan got me. But I then got Jesherin, and it was like, wow, these guys are legitimate like pros, and I'm mixing it up with them. So like, what if I could get my mileage?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So that definitely got me excited, and I just love trail races. It's just a really fun vibe. But then that year I ended
up hometown too. That's cool.
Yeah. But so I ended up going on this long river trip and like not training for a while after that race. And then jumped in a couple more like casual local races in Colorado after that. Or I guess I did Bridger Ridge Run in Bozeman. And then,
Oh, sweet.
yeah, which is a super fun race. It's low key and like very local vibes,
Definitely
but
on my bucket list.
highly recommend it. Yeah, it's an awesome course. But pretty brutal technical. Like it's less than 20 miles, but the time is like takes longer than run through time because of how technical it is, and it's pretty
Yeah, yeah.
almost 6,000 vert, I think. So
And like 15 miles, I believe it is, like 15.9 or something like that.
yeah, or I think it's like 19 total.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, but still, at any rate, that's
Yeah.
stout.
Yeah, it's almost more like closer to like a marathon 50K type effort than like most 20-mile races, but super fun. And then I also did Imogene Pass Run that year, which is another super awesome local race in Colorado in Telluride.
Yeah. And you go from Uray up and over and end in Telluride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were super fun. My fitness wasn't where I wanted it to be. I think I got second place. So I got second place at Run Through Time, Bridger Ridge, and Imogene that year.
Okay.
Which was decent, but then I was like, I need to like lock in and actually start training hard.
Yeah.
Get serious.
And through all this, was it a desire to like become a professional athlete, or were you just doing this to get the best out of yourself?
I think at this point I didn't really realize the like potential to continue on a professional level quite as much. And it was more just like, like I want to win these races. I want to come back next year and win Run Through Time and Bridger Ridge and Imogene, which like, that they're not like Golden Trail or like UTMB races.
Yeah.
It's very local vibe, but I think that's really fun too. And that's just like, like what the sport is about is like coming out to these iconic courses and, like trying to win or set your best time or whatever. So that's kind of what I was motivated around early on. And then, so that winter I was like training, getting like more serious about it. And then, had the same kind of schedule for the following year, but added Broken Arrow 23K to it.
Okay. Yeah.
Without really knowing like how big of a deal Broken Arrow was. Like, I don't know. It's just like the race to be at. And like, there's so many eyes on it, so much visibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so was this the 2025 edition, or this was 2024 last year?
Yeah. Last year.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So I kind of had a similar schedule, and I went back and I ended up winning Run Through Time, running 3 flat, just over 3 flat. I wanted to go sub 3, but I couldn't quite do it in the last mile.
Course record, that's right, because record before that was like 301, 302.
Yeah, it was a course record at the time for that course.
Yeah.
And then I think this most recent year, Jessurin Small, he broke the course record again. He ran like 258, but so I gotta go back and clean that up. And he moved to Alaska, so I don't know if he's coming back for it.
Oh, geez. Okay, lock it in.
Yeah, so that'll be ideal. But yeah, so last year was good. I did all the same races, but then added Broken Arrow in and had a really good race in the 23K there. And that was kind of like my first taste of like, oh, like I could actually get a contract and like do this professionally and travel the world. And yeah, I got
because in that race, like this year, it was part of the global Golden Trail World Series stop, and the year before that, it was a national stop, but it still attracted like international talent for sure, and it always will. That's like Broken Arrow. It's one of the most saturated fields every year, especially that 23K. And now when you're adding things like being able to qualify for the World Mountain Championships, that kind of stuff, yeah, it just has such a high level of competition. And to do well, I mean, makes sense that you were believing that you could do this.
Yeah, definitely. That was kind of the race that put me on the map on like that type of scale. Cause we had
You weren't on everybody's free trail, but now you are.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was super fun. I was like mixing it up, with Patrick Kipingino, Philemon Curiago, Eli Hemming. They were in that race, and then little old me showing up and like mixing it up with those guys. And that definitely got some people's attention, which was cool. And that was the first time I had the idea that like, oh, maybe I could like do this professionally. Like that's pretty fun. And I started talking to more people who do it professionally, and it's like, well, I'm like running with these guys and they're getting paid to travel the world and, like go to all these cool races in Europe and like all these places. So why shouldn't I just do that right now? Like use the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the dream was ignited. So then after Broken Arrow, like you have this dream potentially, and what were the steps after that? Was it like a planned out sequence, or were you just like, I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing and hoping it works out?
Kind of keep doing what I'm doing, but then like start to network with brands and stuff, and like think about how to really attack it the next year, which is this year. But I did the same races. So I did Bridger Ridge and Imogene again and grabbed the wins on those because I had to clean it up after.
There we go.
Yeah. And then I did Mammoth Trail Fest, which was Golden Trail World Series at the end of the season, and kind of got like humbled there. Like I had a tough race and just got swallowed up. And like, that was kind of what I realized, like, wow, these Golden Trail races are legit. Like the depth is pretty crazy when you have, people from all over the world traveling out to get points in the series.
And I was just talking to Andy Wacker yesterday, and like we were talking about his onset. He kind of had the same trajectory, like came out of college, had a period where he was working on road and in track and still is, but he also launched into the trail scene. And even then, like he was really surprised at the depth that would show up to some of these larger races. Even back then, that was like almost 15 years ago. And then nowadays, like that hasn't just gone up in a linear fashion because of the opportunities and the growth of the sport. Like the depth and the level of competition has increased exponentially. And so now you are kind of in that newest class of young runners who make up a large portion of the elite field these days. So that's really cool.
Totally. Yeah, it's interesting coming from the track background where I feel like there's this sense, and like I had this idea that like, oh, trail running is so like it's not deep at all, and like, like I'm a sub 14 5K guy, I could just show up and like be a world champion here, but definitely got humbled by like the level of talent that there is. It's crazy, and it's like in the US, I think like if you're a super talented runner, you're kind of drawn to more of a track and road style. Career.
In our systems, to be honest, like our systems and our tracks for athlete are already established for those sports, and it's becoming more established for trail running. It's not there yet, but you happen to be one of the ones that caught the trail running bug and kind of went there. But it is more like that's what you do, right?
Yeah, totally. But then on an international stage, it's like totally different in Europe. Like trail and mountains running and sport, orienteering too. It's like, these are like real things that like in the culture over there, like they're valued in such a way that like, if you show talent at this, like you're going to be an orienteer, maybe more so than like a road marathoner or something like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were at UTMB this past year, and when you're just running around, and I know this is like a lot of people plan their year around coming here, both professionally and more recreationally. But there's just groups of kids that are obviously from families of runners, and they're just out running the trails as a group of kids, not with like a parent there, and like crushing. So like the culture is so much more established. And I know like Killian Jornet is famous for this, of like he was he was one of those kids who was carrying his backpack for backpacking at 3 years old. So like having that many more years of established endurance building and skills, really. I mean, maybe that's a topic you and I can talk about too, of like the skill acquisition to do well. But yeah, you're right. In America, I have weird children because we like being out on the trails and doing running, right? It's not that opportunity.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, in Colorado, there's more of a culture behind it for sure. But
For sure.
The kind of conventional pathway as a runner in the US and even in Colorado is like you start doing cross country and track in school. And then those are like the main sports that you do. And then you maybe go to college and do that. And then you maybe run on the roads for a while. And then trail running is more like ultra running scene, like
Exactly.
it's kind of interesting to see like, we don't have as much of a culture around like the shorter distance, like half marathon to marathon kind of trail races, like in the Golden Trail series. But yeah, it's pretty fun. And yeah, it's interesting coming from the track and road background where like, you're inclined to think like, like the fastest 5K runner could go be a beast in these Golden Trail races. But it really is a different skill, like to be able to move efficiently across like technical terrain and like be good at downhill and to be brave enough to like lengthen your stride when, like there's an exposed drop on one side.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as simple as like, any super fit college guy could just go and like dominate at that. Like it is a very different skill set. And I think you have to either have a background of like doing, kind of rugged mountain travel and trail stuff like a lot of the Europeans have, or have a transition period where you kind of take some time to figure it out. Because like fitness matters, but I think it is, trail is definitely a different skill set. And there's more than just pure fitness at play there.
Yeah, which I feel like is such a draw for many runners. And I kind of came into trail running too after college of like, running competitively on the track, especially, and being like burnt out, and I just needed something different. I didn't necessarily have any other interests really other than wanting to run, but to be able to bring it to the trails really gave it new life because it was like when I started rock climbing for the first time, and like those first few weeks, you learned so much. It was like the same thing for trail running, even though I was an experienced runner. And then you learn so much over time. And so, I mean, I think it's a cool sport, obviously a growing sport when you have someone like you, Taylor, of like most of the brands in the US search out the ultra distance category and athletes in those who are doing those races for contracts and stories to build their brand around. But you're someone who is on the shorter end of trail running, and you also are a professional. So that is just like one of those things that is just showing the growth of this sport. So then how did you go from how did this conversation come up? Like, did Brooks approach you? Were you kind of going out? I know there's a lot of people that are like close on your heels in terms of experience and might want some tips of like, how do I take that next step? Because the opportunity is there.
Definitely. Yeah. So I got connected with Brooks, my girlfriend and I, who's also a Brooks athlete, and we've kind of had the same trajectory. Her name's Sydney.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So we got connected to Brooks through our friend Mika Baudouin Rousseau, he's like has a similar story. So like the year prior, he came out of the NCAA as a track runner for Stanford and then signed with Brooks. And then, we raced him and like kind of met him and stuff. And at Broken Arrow, he connected us with the athlete manager for Brooks. So I think, for anyone who's interested in this, like the networking, like talk to people who are sponsored, chat with them, like get contacts for their athlete manager, and then just like fire off some emails, like if you want to pursue it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is. I think it's, be persistent and be like upfront, create a running resume. That's another big thing, like with your background, your stats, your best performances and stuff, so that they just have it right there to look at. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I think it's cool that brands are seemingly starting to invest more in like the sub ultra space, the shorter distance stuff. Like we kind of talked about, like I feel like trail running, the market in the US is highly dominated around ultra stuff more so. But there's like a really cool thing about these short races. Like it's a different sport than ultra trail. And I think in a lot of ways, like it's very marketable and exciting. And like you look at these Golden Trail races and the streams are super entertaining. They do an amazing job where you're seeing the race. So they have camera runners going with people the whole time. You see the leaders, you see the chase pack, and like it's a 2 to 3 hour race. So like there's a lot of position changes, and like these races are ending in a sprint finish sometimes. Like it's super, it has a lot of the excitement of like a track race, but it's on these amazing rugged trail courses. So I think, to me, it's like that could be a huge thing in the future of the sport that hasn't been fully tapped into.
And even just like we talk about Broken Arrow, like if you go back the last 3 years and look at the stream, each year has increased in terms of quality, the amount of runners that are vying for these top spots. And also what I really appreciate about it is that every course is so diverse, of like where you might be a really strong climber, you might have someone behind you that is known for their descents, and so like that adds to like a little bit of the drama. Whereas like a marathon, just watching the Chicago Marathon this past weekend, also around that 2.5 hours for most of those elite runners. But what's different is that they're basically like you can somewhat project what's going to happen, whereas trail racing you really can't. Like some of my favorite things are just like I start baking something in the kitchen and have the TV on YouTube and watching the live stream over 2 to 3 hours, and while you're baking and getting all this drama on it really is interesting and like truly quality, not just because I'm a trail running nerd. Like I think it would be interesting for many people. My in-laws who are not trail runners, they watch these things because they're fun and intriguing, and I love like the backstories that they're able to give while watching these races play out.
Totally. Yeah, I think Golden Trail does a really good job of making it entertaining and like building up stories behind athletes, and then choosing courses that are really cool and entertaining and dynamic. Like kind of like you were saying, Chicago Marathon, it's a 2 hour race. Golden Trail Final is also a 2 hour race, but it seems like there's, in some ways there's like more happening at the front end of a race like Golden Trail, where it's like, you have your really strong climbers, and that's just a fitness contest. And then you hop onto like a super technical section, and different athletes are going to catch up and like have an advantage there. And then you have your gnarly downhill, and different people are downhillers. And so it creates this like dynamic race where the positions are changing all the time, and like you never know, like no one is like secured the win or secured a top 10 at any point in the race. I think it's really cool.
And one thing that's really cool about like the Golden Trail World Series, and I really want to get to your year this year because you've invested in multiple races in that series. But one thing that's really cool is that they've kind of sought out the best races around the world. Whether that be based on course, based on culture, level of competition. And there's been a few, like to your point that you made a little bit ago of like in Europe, Marathon du Mont Blanc, Zagama, Sierra Zinal, none of them are ultras, but they're all like some of the biggest trail races in the world. And they attract pretty much everyone from across the globe. And so like that's the kind of level of competition and experience that you were stepping in knowingly into these races, and that are a part of, not all those races are a part of Golden Trail Series currently, but they have been. And so that's where you launch into on this really literally a global stage for trail running on the shorter end of trail running. So like, what does that mean for you to like, even to have Brooks as a sponsor? Like that's a difference maker, right? That's a difference maker for you to be able to go do all this as support of a sponsor itself.
Totally. Yeah. So yeah, Golden Trail Series is like to really compete in the series because it's a series of races all around the world. You rack up points based on your placement, and then that qualifies you for like their final race. And then at the end of everything, the points kind of add up to a final series ranking. So to do it, to really seriously do it, you have to have the means to like do at least one, probably two or three like overseas international trips, which is unless you're located in Europe, I think it'd be easier. But for someone in the States, because typically there's only 2 races in North America in the series, and you need to do at least 3 to get points to qualify for the final. And so, yeah, having the support from a brand, this year having the Brooks contract with a travel budget is like really the only way that it's feasible to make that happen. For me, if you have the money to spend on these trips, then that's great. I did not.
Yeah, that's good for you. Me neither.
But yeah, so I mean, that was kind of really the main reason that I like wanted to sign with a brand last year. It's like, like it's gonna allow me to go have this experience. And like, this year has been just like a crazy dream of like, I've been to Austria, Switzerland, Spain, and Italy racing, and like what a crazy thing. If you would have told me, 2 years ago that was an option, to be paid to travel the world and like run these cool races, I would be like, I don't know, how does that happen? But here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
then,
cool.
Yeah. And aside from like the financial side of it, like signing with a team like Brooks means you have access to coaches, you have access to a really, like Brooks has become known for the community that they've created within their trail running team. And like, they're really starting to be innovative. So like footwear and that type of gear, like you don't have to worry about. There's so many facets to becoming a professional athlete. And like, are there any other things that you've like just off the top of your head can think of that like this has really made your experience in your first year as an athlete?
Yeah, I think with Brooks specifically, there's more so than other brands. It seems like there is a very like established kind of team community. So like we're all, like for most of the races this year, like I traveled with a group of Brooks athletes, and like I became really good friends with the American Sub Ultra Brooks team. And we have a huge team too, which is a big part of it. Like I think it definitely in the Sub Ultra like shorter distance sphere on the trails, like we have more athletes than any other brand.
And we have some here in America, but Brooks, along with like New Balance and Asics, their trail presence overseas is much stronger. So your team probably, almost quadruples once you get over to Europe, right?
For sure, yeah. And for some of these European Golden Trail races, like we get plugged in with the Europe team over there, and then we stay with them in the Airbnb and hang out and do meals together and stuff.
That's amazing.
It is. Yeah, it's really awesome. I need to learn French, though, I think I've decided.
Yeah.
I feel like being the only one in the room who doesn't speak French, and then they're all like speaking English to accommodate me. It's like, wow, this is sad. I need to be better.
It'll come. Well, it's kind of cementing with your results this year that you're probably going to need to learn some French because you're likely going to be over there for many years to come with the performances. Starting at maybe, let's just talk about this year. Like as a Brooks professional athlete, some of the results you've had. You started the season before Broken Arrow, but the Broken Arrow race this year was a Golden Trail World Series stop. Mm-hmm. So just walk us through your season and some of the results you've had. And then, I mean, it just culminated, spoiler alert, in an amazing showing at the Golden Trail Series final, where you were a top 5 finisher in the overall rankings. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah. So the season started off, so there were 2 kind of main objectives, which was, since it's a world championships year, to make one of the world teams.
Mm-hmm.
The first like major race of the season was Sunapee Scramble, which was USA champs to qualify for the classic mountain race at Worlds. So the top 4 at Sunapee Scramble automatically qualified to represent Team USA at Worlds in the classic
Mm-hmm.
race. So I got 3rd there, which was a solid. The goal was to make the team, and I made the team, so that was great. And then next up was Broken Arrow. So that was the first goal, was to make Worlds, and then Golden Trail Series, accumulate enough points to make the final, and then try to run as well as the final. That was kind of the other big goal.
Was it difficult from like a trail runner's perspective? Obviously, you had fitness if you're taking 3rd at the Sunapee Scramble, which was the most decorated field that it's ever had, like almost by double in terms of like professional runners and elite runners that were there vying for those spots. But then to go from like East Coast technical trail running to West Coast mountain trail running, of like, did you have to like flip some switches there to run well?
Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe. I think with trail running in general, like if you're traveling around and doing, races on the East Coast and West Coast and Europe and whatever, you have to be ready for very different types of races. Like you're going to have like super fast runnable courses. You're going to have super rooty, rocky, technical, muddy courses. It's going to be hot. It's going to be snowing. So like that's one thing about trail, is like you have no idea what you're going to get. I mean, you know what you're going to get, but it's going to be different, very different on different courses and different days. So Sunapee and Broken Arrow were very different vibes. Sunapee was wet. It rained like 3 days leading up to the race, super muddy. East Coast, you're in the trees. It feels like the jungle to me. I'm Colorado like desert boy, so it very humid and wet and muddy over there. But I really enjoy the technical downhills and stuff like that. So I had a really fun race. And that was my first time exploring kind of the like New Hampshire, Vermont kind of region of the Northeast. And it's super cool over there. I really enjoy, like the forest, kind of the terrain over there. It's super fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sunapee was great. Broken Arrow, which I had done the previous year, definitely different course, much drier, much higher elevation, less technical. Like it's pretty runnable course. There's some technical parts, but it's not technical like Sunapee is. And the, Sunapee was stacked with like all of the best American talent, but Broken Arrow was Golden Trail World Series, which means that you're getting people from Europe, people from Africa, El Ouzine from Morocco, all the best Americans, like everyone is there. And it's just, it's elevated to a different level of competition for sure.
And like credit to Brendan Madigan, the race director there too, and what he's built. Like even when it's not a Golden Trail World Series stop, it still attracts like pretty much that level of competition. The vibe is like so cool. It feels professional, but also like trail running at its core should be as well. Like it's very accessible. So just the event itself is really cool. I wanted to just kind of shout that out. But then once the Golden Trail World Series is there, and it was I feel like there was more athletes there this year too, because it was USA's vertical, right?
Yeah.
There was to get on the vertical team.
Yeah, it was USA qualifier for the vertical and the 50K short.
Oh yeah, the short trail. Yep.
Yeah. So it was just like the triple whammy. Like the VK was USA champs to qualify for Worlds. The 23K was Golden Trail World Series, and then the 46K was short trail qualifying. So it was pretty much everyone was there. Like that
I
was
had FOMO.
The biggest race. Yeah. But it was a super fun vibe, and like, my mom came out and did it. My uncle did the 46K. My girlfriend Sydney ran the VK and qualified for Worlds. Which was awesome. And we had a good contingency, Brooks athletes showed up well in the Golden Trail race too, and Yeah, it was fun, and it was a good race for me. I got sixth, which was my best Golden Trail performance up until then, so I was happy with it.
Which even any elite that I know there's, and at the level that you're at now, whereas many people would say like, a top 10 is exemplary. Even like in the Golden Trail World Series, when you're considering like 15th place as a success, like that's just how deep the field is. So coming in sixth is massive because you have literally the world's best trail runners on this course. And so that's kind of got to be cool for you, like 1 year later coming back, and like, did it feel different for you? Like, did the stakes feel higher? Was like, first time maybe ignorance was bliss a little bit, and now you're in this professional field, international stage. Like, how was that dynamic for you?
Yeah, it was interesting. The year prior, I was like, didn't know what Golden Trail was, like didn't know anything, and I was just out there racing. And then this year, I think the stakes were maybe a little bit higher because it was World Series, and now I'm sponsored, and I feel like I have something to prove a little bit. But I didn't feel too crazy pressure. But the depth of the race, definitely, you could tell that it was elevated, and like Broken Arrow the previous year was my like breakout race that kind of put me on the map. And then this year I ran 5 minutes faster on the same course. So it was like,
oh my God,
I got way fitter, but the competition was just way stiffer too. So everyone ran so fast on that course. It's ridiculous. But it was fun. I mean, I think I do well at altitude races as well, cause I train at altitude. It was good to me.
So one of the struggles of Golden Trail World Series, especially if you're doing multiple races, like you said, you're trying to get 3 in, and to really hit 3 races at a level that you need to get the points to get into the final throughout the season. That's hard. You have to have a really strategic training plan to be able to hit it when you need to hit. But you did multiple races, and sometimes like just a couple weeks apart. So what are some of the other races you did throughout the season that led you to like your most recent success here?
Yeah, so with Golden Trail, the way they usually do it is they'll for the 2 North American races, they'll like make them 1 week apart so that it makes it easier for people who are traveling to come and race back to back and make it like a reasonable trip. But that means that you have to race back-to-back weeks if you want to stack up points in the series, which can be kind of tough. But yeah, so after Broken Arrow, I trained for a bit and then went to Europe for back-to-back Golden Trail races. So I did Pitt's Alpine Glacier Trail in Austria, and then a week
Which
later,
looked gnarly.
Yeah, that was pretty spicy stuff for sure. Like super wet, cold, and very muddy, very technical, very steep, just like exactly what you sign up for with this stuff. So
and even like growing up in Colorado like you did, like I grew up in Minnesota, and like the flattest of flat. So I'm surprised even coming out to Colorado, even been here for 11 years, there's some truly steep, true mountain terrain. But when you get to the Alps like that, it's a whole nother level of steep, and sometimes whole nother level of technical. Like, was that surprising for you of going over there for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, the prominence of the mountains over there are just crazy. It's like Colorado, we have big mountains. They're 14,000 feet, but you're starting at like 10,000 feet, So whereas over in the Alps, you're starting at sea level sometimes, then going up to 14,000 feet. So the mountains are just huge, very steep, glaciated. It looks just like more rugged than a lot of stuff we have here. Although I do think that there's there's this idea that like, oh, in America the trails are not technical at all, and like the Americans struggle on technical.
In California, there's parts.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I kind of want to dispel the myth that like Americans can't run technical and we don't have legit trails over here, because like we have serious terrain. Like the sand mountains are.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, go out your front door to the west, right? Any of those collegiate peaks, like once you, like, yeah, you have to be careful every step. But like, we have this kind of grading scale when we're doing running reviews for shoes of like what this shoe would be best for. Of like, you really can't escape once you're in the mountains here. Anything from moderate to truly technical terrain, like we have that. It's just hard to find the long, steep sections. Which there's plenty of that too, but it's hard to get like where you have to crane your neck to see up the hill like you would in the Alps, and that's where I feel like is the most difficult for Americans to
For sure.
adjust.
Yeah, you don't see as many like 40% grade paths in the US. But
Yeah, yeah,
over there, so that's the kind of stuff you're dealing with, which is pretty intense for sure. It's like, yeah, it was a bit of a shock to the system at Austria. And it was funny because we stayed with the Brooks European team, and I previewed the course, and we were talking about what shoes we wanted to wear and stuff. And I was like it's pretty technical. And then all the French guys were like, it's not technical. Like, you Americans think that this is technical. And I was like, okay, dude, whatever. Like, I think.
So what shoe did you go for that race?
I wore the Catamount Agiles from Brooks. So it's
so good. Yeah.
For like the very technical, nimble stuff, like muddy, they're very nice. They have great lugs.
Yeah. And last year that won our Best in Gear award for technical terrain. And yeah, it's just a phenomenal lightweight. It feels like an extension of the foot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very much like a flat. So like, it's interesting because back in college for me, it was like pre-super shoe days. So we would do all of our tempo runs and like cross country races and in like tiny little flats that are just like a solid.
Yeah.
And it's just as light as possible. And it's not like, you're not getting foam bounce. You don't have carbon plates or anything. And that's kind of what the Agile feels like. Although there's more foam and there is like a little plastic plate in there. So you get a little bit of.
Well, and what makes the difference for like gear junkies in that it is one of the lowest stack shoes that you can buy right now. But because it has that super foam, it has a really high tech foam that the density allows for it to be more protective. And it also gives you, some energy return, but then that Skyvault plate too also adds some support in there. So it's, even though it is quite thin, you feel more protected, and you have like 5mm lugs too. So
definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's the obvious choice as a Brooks athlete for the like maximum technical, which a lot of these Golden Trail races are. So it's good to have.
Yeah. So I
like that.
I had someone ask me about that shoe this week, get a lot of like wanting shoe recommendations, but I was asked about that, and I have like my idea of what I would use that for. Obviously technical, fast, where you need to be agile. What's your like ceiling on that for race? Like if you're considering different shoes, of like how many hours would you put into that?
It's a good question. So I kind of pushed the limits with the Agile. I think I ran Sierras and all in the Agile. Which
give the specs of that course, because that's a world famous course, but many people who might be in the audience might not know about Sierras and all.
For sure. Yeah, it's like one of the oldest races or trail races in Europe, and it, always just has an insane depth of competition because it's so historic. So the course starts down in a town called Zinal, and then it climbs up onto this mountain and then drops down into a higher elevation town. Sorry, it actually starts in Sierre and then ends in Zinal, the valley. So it's about just under 20 miles with 7,000 vertical gain. So it's a general ascent. So the course basically starts right away with like a double VK. So you're gaining like over 1,000 feet per mile for like the first 5 miles.
When you look at the map for that, it's just insane. And then like it attracts a lot of attention because, there are some athletes who can run that first portion. Remy Bonnet is one of them, of like, and just crush the competition. And that's his best hope of like putting some distance, where then you have some of the Africans who come there and then they have that marathon, like some 205 marathon speed, like then they put that to work. And then, but you have to add it all up and see how it shakes out. It's probably the most exciting race to watch all year.
Yeah, it is. It's intense. And it's like, it gets hyped up and everyone's like, oh, Sears and all is crazy. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. And then I did it and I was like, yeah, that was crazy. That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, it starts off with that brutal climb, long. You gain like 5,000 feet just like right off the bat. And then it like flattens out, but it's not actually flat. It's like runnable, very runnable terrain after that. But you're kind of doing a rolling ascent for like 5 or 6 miles and you gain another 2,000 feet. And then it goes into kind of gradual downhill and then very, very steep downhill the last like 3 miles into the finish. Mm-hmm. So you do get a little bit of everything. It's not the most technical course in terms of like mountain races in the Alps, but so a lot of it's very runnable. And you even see people like wearing road shoes out there, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Sears and all. And I wore the Agiles, which I think, maybe I wouldn't make that choice again with like the options that Brooks has now, I think, because
and coming out, which let's be honest, there's some exciting things coming down the pipeline.
Definitely. Yeah. So the Cascadia Elite, I think, would be my choice for Xeracenol next time, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Most of the Brooks people did wear the Cascadia Elite, which is the new Brooks Trail Super Shoe coming out, which was unveiled.
Our review is live of that, but it does come out in it's springtime, basically.
Yeah.
But it's worth the wait. I'm glad you've been able to run in it because it's a phenomenal option, for sure.
Yeah, very much so. Especially on like less technical, kind of more runnable terrain. It's super nice. So
efficient. It's one of those like most efficient and comfortable trail shoes, but you still get that more technical upper with the matrix and like the stock like booty. Kind of reminds me of the Catamount Agile there of like you get a similar security, but a very different ride for sure.
Yeah, definitely very different. They're kind of like the two opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of what like the type of terrain you would choose them for. So
very true.
But the Agiles were nice because they're super light. They're nice on the uphill, but I think, that you have a long pounding like rolling section and then gnarly descent. And I think my body would have appreciated something with a little bit more cushion and stack on that course. So I think next time I'll probably make a different choice. But
for sure. You live and you learn, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
then, I mean, like I believe were you top American in that field?
Yeah, I was. So I was 12th overall and top American. So pretty solid performance in, in such a deep race and like doubling back a week after the Austria Golden Trail race. I think it was like a hard day for me, but if my hard day is 12th at Sears and all, then I'm feeling pretty happy about it. So
yeah, that's got to give you some confidence. And then you had you ended up qualifying for Worlds, qualifying for the Golden Trail Series final. So like when you approach that all in just a couple weeks worth of time, you weren't the only athlete. Like there was Lauren Gregory did the same thing, and there was a few others. Of like how do you mentally approach something like that after such a great season already? Like there's a lot of competition to still be had.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the first goal of the season was just make it, qualify for Worlds, make the top 30 in the Golden Trail final, or make in the Golden Trail rankings, which qualifies you for the final. So checked both of those boxes. And then at that point, I was just focusing on like obviously I would like to run well, like making it is the first goal, but we're not just there to do a victory lap. Like I'm there to try to run to the best of my ability and prove that, I can mix it up with the best in the world. But at the same time, I was just trying to like enjoy the experience and enjoy the opportunity to like put on that USA kit, you know, like wearing the same singlet that Cole Hawker wears at the Olympics, you know, such a cool thing.
Yeah.
Um,
So cool.
yeah, I mean, and that's just as a lifelong runner and like on the track and everything, you know, representing USA at an international competition. It's just kind of like one of those huge bucket list things that, you know, it's like the biggest honor.
Well, and yeah, absolutely. Like that's the things you dream about as a kid, right? And like not only just to do it in the past years, obviously there's been competition as this sport has grown though. Like again, you're entering into this world championships that had the most depth in every race, like exponentially again. And so like when you're stepping to the line, having now the confidence from your Golden Trail Series races, like what was your mindset about the world championship? Like was there any difference now that as you've grown as an athlete just through this year?
Yeah, I think, you know, I had like certain performance goals, which was like, I thought that I could be in the top 10. I wanted to be in the top 10, ideally. And other than that, just, you know, all you can do is the best that you have on the day. So if I feel like I really, you know, fought hard the whole time, that's what I care about more than like the result. But it was just a crazy fast race. It went out so dummy hard, just like completely redlining the entire time. And it's a 9-mile race, took about an hour, and it was on very runnable terrain. So it was interesting at Worlds, like the ultra races, so the short trail and long trail were very technical, very verty, like true mountain running, you know, rocky, legit stuff. Yeah. But the classic race, which was my race, was very different. It was like there were some road sections and the trails were like very smooth, not technical at all. So it was pretty much just a fitness contest, I think. You know, like
totally.
Have any like real technical like downhill stuff to worry about. It was just who can bomb up this thing and like sprint down. And
that course had 2 loops, so that's an interesting, having 2 shorter loops and you swing back through the small town again, right? And then but overall, like it had, I'm trying to remember the course, like maybe 800 meters total of, right? So like 2,500 feet of gain total over 9 miles, which by trail running standards isn't, even on that aspect isn't technical at all.
Yeah, it was not very verty. I mean, 2,500 over 9 miles, you know, your typical Cirque Series race is going to be more aggressive than that.
More than that, yeah.
So, I mean, what that means, though, is that it just becomes a ridiculously fast race. Like, I think we average 6:30 pace on that, you know, and it's like you're just sprinting the whole time. And it's Worlds, and everyone's, like, going for it. But, I mean,
elbows being thrown and...
Yeah. So I ended up 12th as the top American, and, you know, can't really complain with that. I think I had a difficult day, but I like grinded it out, and, you know, still got to be proud to represent USA and have that day. I did get out kicked by 2 Italians right at the end to miss out on top 10, which is a bummer. So I was definitely a little salty about that, but
so does that come into play then for future years of like, now as a trail runner, we have a world championship and a governed world championship that we can look forward to. And so like, is that in your mind then now being a couple weeks removed of like, I want to make that next team? Or do you go on to other goals? Like,
yeah, I think it's interesting because in trail, you get the sense that like the world championship is almost like a secondary race for a lot of people. Like there's kind of more value is put on like UTMB finals or Western States or even like Golden Trail. Which is, I think it's a little sad because, you know, in the world of track, the Olympics and the world championships, you know, like those are the premier races. And you can count on them being like a true world competition where if you win, you are the best in the world, you know? And I think when people in trail like don't value world champs in that way, and you'll have people who decide not even to race at world champs. It's like it kind of takes away from it being like the premier competition in the world, which is what it's supposed to be.
Which is it's and that's like like we could spend a whole podcast on that, like thinking about it of like, because most of these races were initially developed as like challenges, not necessarily a race itself, but have developed into these races that have high levels of competition. But they developed as kind of like, more of like a financial thing, and have grown from then. And because trail running didn't have a governing body or something that's looking out for all of these things and all of these types, that's definitely part of the growing pains we have in the industry for sure. But also, I'm just gonna kind of, like I said, like this was the deepest. You had the best of the best this year. In past years, there was great competition too, but this was one of the biggest step toward making it feel that way. And I hope you don't take anything away from your result, because you're right. It's not, UTMB is on a higher pedestal. If you have a UTMB championship for many of those weeks, it probably feels like a more elevated experience than the World Mountain Running Championships, honestly. Even Golden Trail Series, for that matter.
Yeah, in some ways. I definitely do. Personally, I put a lot of value on the World Championships, because I just think that it's cool, and it's kind of detached a bit from the commercialization of everything.
Exactly.
I think that's one thing, one of the reasons that like UTMB finals or Golden Trail might be valued more is because you're wearing your brand's kit, your sponsor's kit, and you're representing everything. Whereas at Worlds,
there's market value.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas at Worlds, you're wearing the federation kit. So like the USATF, like official jersey, which I think is cool in a way, because it makes it more about like the purity of the sport and not about trying to like.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I think UTMB is cool. Golden Trail is really fun. They all have.
Of course.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But it does get to the point that we have with our massive growth in this sport, there's some things to think about for sure as we move forward and provide opportunities for young athletes like you. Let's get to the Golden Trail World Series real quick, because you doubled back. You had a strong race at World Championships, and then what was it, 2 weeks difference even, or was it just 1 week?
It was 2 weeks. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It was World Champs was in Spain, and my parents came out, and so ran World Champs, hung out with my parents for a few days, got some cool mountain running in the Pyrenees, which is so amazing out there. It was sick. And then hopped over to Italy for Golden Trail Final, which is really fun. So I made went in ranked 6th in the series. And so the way they do it at Golden Trail Final is they have like this prologue race, which is like a short kind of time trial style race. So
it's very much like the time trial in cycling. It's meant to be kind of modeled after that for sure. So you like start on your own, right? At a certain time and you go.
It's individual.
Which is so unique.
Staggered by a minute. So it is unique. It feels weird. We get up there and then it's like ready, set, go. And then you're just sprinting by yourself. And it's also really
not knowing anybody else's result.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to gauge like how fast you're running in the field too. Cause it's like, oh, I feel strong. Like I feel like I'm hammering this climb right now, but like for all I know, anyone else could, maybe I'm having a tough day and running really slow, but you can't tell because you're not getting dropped by people. You just can't see anyone.
But also in the past, Golden Trail had, when they started the World Series or this ending the championship, they had like 3 races, like 3 days in a row, but the whole field was part of it. And so like you could kind of gauge kind of like a Tour de France style of who's where, what do I need to do to, execute my result. It doesn't necessarily it was very much championship style racing. Whereas this, like prologue, you know the points before, but how much energy do you give to this day compared to the race that's coming after it?
Right. Yeah, and that's the tricky thing to decide, I think, because the way that the points breakdown is like the prologue was worth half of the points that a normal Golden Trail World Series race is.
Okay.
And then the final is worth 150% of that. So it's like to win the final, you get 300 points. Winning the prologue gets you 100 points. So the points in the prologue were like weighted less. So it's tempting to go out there and kind of sandbag it a little bit so you're more fresh for the final. But for me, I just like have trouble holding back. Like in a race environment, I feel like I just get so competitive and amped that like I'm not able to like go 80%. Like I go 100% no matter what. And so that's pretty much what I did in the prologue. And just like really went for it. And it's short enough to where I think, you know, my body recovered pretty well. But I was kind of shocked because I finished and then was in third at the prologue, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it was a super tight spread though, from like second to sixth. It was like a matter of a few seconds, really. And none of us knew. So it was kind of interesting. So I kind of, in a way, got lucky, but ended up on the podium in the prologue, which was sweet. And it was cool to bounce back after, you know, a pretty okay performance at Worlds, but slightly unsatisfying. So yeah, third at the prologue definitely gave me confidence that like, okay, I think my fitness is actually there. And like, this is a reflection of like where I'm at and my abilities, and I'm running well on technical. And so that got me excited to just go for it in the final 2 days later.
And that final course was stout. We don't have to spend all the time ironing out the details, but it was a true mountain race for sure. And you had the climbs, you had the screaming descents, and it was like watching that particular race play out was, like we talked about toward the beginning, just so entertaining because everything was on the line. And if you scored, you know, 3 places lower than you did, the overall results would be different. Like it was all coming to an end. Like this was the final. And so like, just walk us through that race a little bit and like your mentality and what it's like to experience that type of race.
Yeah. I mean, it just feels like a big deal. And like Golden Trail, you know, really hypes everything up. You know, there's loud music, there's big crowds, you know, they do pre-race interviews with everyone. You're there and like everyone's staying in the hotel, everyone's eating in the same dining hall. Like you see the world champion right there, you know, eating dinner 2 nights before the race. And so it kind of just creates this really exciting, fun environment where there's a bunch of media, a bunch of photographers. You're getting like little video clips of you running, like doing strides on the course and stuff. But yeah, it was fun and, you know, pretty nervous, broke the nerves a little bit in the prologue. And then going into the final, it was more just like, all right, let's see what happens. Like maybe I cooked it, but I'm just going to go for it. There's nothing to lose. And for me, fortunately, I just felt really strong and I was able to just be mixing it up with the top guys on the climb and, you know, running like right along with the biggest names in the Golden Trail Series, like Elizawi, Philemon Kiriago, the world champion, you know, Patrick Kipingino, also a world champion, and then me, you know, on the climb. That was us. Like, it up. And it was like, wow.
It was back from Salida.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, maybe I'm just like going to blow up super hard and it's going to be embarrassing, but like, or maybe I'm having the race of my life right now. So I'm just going to try to keep it rolling. And it felt right. And I knew once I got onto the technical parts, so it like starts off with a gnarly, huge 5,000 foot climb. And then you have a really technical ridge and then a really steep technical downhill. And I think, you know, Eluzine is really a beast on technical, but I think compared to some of those other guys, like that technical and downhill is one of my strengths. So I knew that if I didn't get totally dropped on the climb, like I could do some damage on the technical parts. And that's pretty much what happened. And yeah, I ended up just grinding it out and getting fourth, which was definitely the biggest result of my trail career so far. So
Yeah.
very stoked.
Which, I mean, yeah. And like you said, the 3 people ahead of you, even in the overall rankings, are former world champions in their own right. Or like Golden Trail World Series champions of last year. And like, so that, I mean, that's a heck of a rookie year, man, of like, it's so exciting. It was exciting all along to watch you and to see how you've progressed this year. But it leaves like a mark of like, okay, that was 2025. Like, what's 2026 going to be like and beyond? It's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that's what I'm thinking too. And like this year started off well, and I think, you know, I've just been on an upward trajectory. And then to finish it out that way, you know, just over a minute behind El Hussein, the champion at Golden Trail, it gets me stoked to think about what's possible with another, like, you know, 1, 2, 3 years of development and experience.
Yeah, experience pays for so much in this sport, of course. So then what's like, are you resting now? Like, that's a long season with 2 major championships there. Like, what are you doing now?
Yeah, pretty much resting this week. And then I think I am actually going to try to run a 50K at the end of November to qualify for OCC next year.
Okay. Yep. So which one will that be?
It's the Hoka Pacific Trails.
That new one. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So UTMB is that the major goal next year without a championships? Of like OCC is where you're going.
I think OCC and Golden Trail will be the big targets this year. Yeah.
And that's nice that their schedules are somewhat complementary, because I think of like the Golden Trail World Series is kind of like, if you're familiar with track, like Diamond League. It's more similar to Diamond League. And then the UTMB series is kind of like the world majors for marathon. And they don't always, you know, sometimes there'll be conflicting things, but not always. So it's viable, it seems.
Right. Yeah, that's a good comparison. But yeah, I think the timing definitely works out well with, you can run certain Golden Trail races, like the North American races, and then maybe one Europe race, and then have a couple weeks and then do OCC as one trip. And then the final is like later in the year. So there's plenty of time to recover after OCC for me, hopefully. So yeah. So I'm excited to see what I can do in a 50K.
Aren't we all, dude? We're excited for you. Like, again, phenomenal year. Thanks for taking the time to do this interview, kind of reflect over the year. And I'm going to say here, let's do it again next year. Let's see what that next step is after your Rookie of the Year performance.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for having me. It's been such an awesome year, and I'm excited to keep the momentum rolling, hopefully.
Awesome. Okay, we'll keep in touch, Taylor. Don't worry.
Sounds good.
Stretch, got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna tuck run, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop. D-R